which is I'm a faculty member at the Harvard Medical School and also Harvard H. School of Public Health. So, I asked AI to draw this picture of the plant-based diet, and it did a pretty good job understand the essence of plant-based diets. Now let's get started. No conflict of interest. This is what I'm going to speak about. Not the points, and each point I'm going to spend some minutes. First, I'll provide an overview of plant-based diets, how they define them. And then we're going to move on to review some evidence, primarily from meta-analysis regarding plant-based diets and cardiometabolic health with chronic disease outcomes. And we're going to make a point that the quality measures for plant-based diets, and we move on to discuss essentially what makes the plant-based diet healthy and why. We're going to touch upon plant-based diets and diabetes management. We're going to touch a little bit regarding how we may think about plant-based diets and its effects on disease prevention in the era of precision nutrition. And lastly, leave some remarks regarding how the plant-based diets may help with the environmental sustainability. All right. So I want to start my presentation by really squeezing tens of thousands years of human food history into about 2 seconds. So at the Paleolithic and the Neolithic period, people primarily diet consists of what you can get from nature. You can collect, you can hunt. Then not until the agriculture appears and the human had a relatively stable supply of foods like meat, daily meat, but from being sufficient. Then fast forwarding with the agricultural revolutions and unexcited food becomes much more abundant and followed by really booming population size. And fast forwarding to today, this is what we have. In the supermarket, you have, tens of thousands, this actually counted, distinct food items that are available in human market across the world. We talk about very fresh food festival. You can talk about highly processed or ultra-processed foods. But the thing is that we never eat those food items in random combination. That would be infinite. But rather, we eat vector patterns. That number of vector patterns is much more smaller than the number of food items. We may have some arguments regarding which vector pattern is healthy or not, which pattern is suitable for you. For others, but I think that they would have a consensus that diet is fundamentally important for health, right? I think we should have that consensus. So this is an interesting analysis published at the Lancet in 2019. What this study did is to summarize the data. In 2017, attributable to the diet. So what they found is that some diets, especially diets low in whole grains, low in foods, low in nuts, seeds, vegetables, and low in dietary fiber, are the primary dietary factors that contributed to the global death. So plant-based diets. How do they define them? So essentially, those diets can take many different forms. But the essential component of a plant-based diet, of course, are plant-based foods. But there's a really wide spectrum of plant-based diets. You can talk about really strict vegan and vegetarian diet. But those are just a small fraction of plant-based diets. It can be also, so-called semi-vegetarian diet, could be, flexitarian diet, could be, largely plant-based diet with occasional consumption of animal products, including ideally, fish and a little bit dairy, eggs, so on and so forth. I think overall, the plant-based diet, regardless which form it is, as long as those diets emphasize plant-based foods, they are healthy. Those are the study summarized in a meta-analysis that they did some years ago. This meta-analysis showed that plant-based diet, including the vegan diet, vegetarian diet, associates roughly 23% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. In a more recent meta-analysis that they published last year, they also found that such a diet, a plant-based diet, associates roughly 10% lower risk of developing total cardiovascular disease. And this is another meta-analysis which summarize evidence from clinical trials. So those trials, they compared vegetarian diet with other types of diet, primarily meat-based diet or maybe a typical diet that the participant consume. What they found is that across those trials, their duration, I think, is managed to roughly less than 2 years. Well, they found that on average, when participants were assigned with vegetarian diet, they lose more than 10 kilograms during that trial duration in comparison with other diets. But then the question is, as I mentioned, plant-based diet can take so many different forms. Are they the same? Do they have the same health effect? Or are they quite different? But let's first of all look at this diet. This is also plant-based diet. By definition, because a lot of refined carbohydrates, a lot of sugar drinks, but they are not from animal products, they are plant-based. And look at this. Tapas maybe. You have a lot of fruits, vegetables, you have a lot of whole grains, and essentially those kind of diets, almost no-brainer. This diet is also usually healthy, but let's see some evidence. So this is Ambika Santijan. She was a doctoral student in our group years ago, and she brought up this fantastic idea for her thesis topic, and why not we just differentiate the plant-based diet, not just vegetarian, vegan, and emphasize plant-based diet, but also taking into consideration the quality of the plant-based food. What she did is group the foods into largely 18 large food groups and categorize them into animal products. That is easy. But the second group is this healthy plant-based food, which includes whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, vegetable oils, tea and coffee. Then, in contrast, there are unhealthy or less healthy plant-based food groups. They are fruit juices, sweetened beverages, refined grain, potatoes, sweets, and desserts. What she did is to partly run those group of consumption so that that kind of emphasize the consumption of those foods. Then she emphasized the consumption of those foods, so that pattern emphasized the consumption of unhealthy plant-based diet. And the associations with this study is type 2 diabetes is striking. So this blue line represents association for the overall plant-based diet without differentiating the quality. However, the green line represents the healthy plant-based diet. You see a monotonic reduction of the type 2 diabetes risk. For the unhealthy plant-based diet, it is associated with higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And this is about coronary heart disease. You'll more or less see the same pattern here, that the healthy plant-based diet associated with lower risk of developing coronary heart disease, but unhealthy plant-based diet associated with higher risk. And again, this is the same analysis, very interesting in the power studies, primary nursing health study, called the federal power study. Some of you may have heard of those long-term follow-up studies. What we observe is that if you increase the prevalence of plant-based diet, a healthy plant-based diet, you innovate less slowly than others. However, the opposite happens if you increase your adherence. That is, you eat more unhealthy plant-based diet over time, then you gain weight faster than others. Lastly, we also examine changes of plant-based diet consumption over time, how that might relate to early death. So what this analysis, what they found is that a longer steady increase adherence to healthy plant-based diet is associated with longevity, but increased adherence to unhealthy plant-based diet is associated with a higher risk of death prematurely. And this is not only the observation that they made the US population, but this is another very seminal study conducted in the UK Biobank study. In that study, they have more than 120 individuals living in UK. So this is really a very large study, and they found exactly the same thing. That for healthy plant-based diet, they found inverse association with all-cause mortality, means the higher, the more you consume those kind of healthy diet, the less likely to die. But also the cause of death by cancer and by any cardiovascular disease. And by very strong contrast, we see really the opposite for unhealthy plant-based diets. By the way, this study is conducted by my colleague at Queen's University Belfast. So hopefully I made a case to the audience that plant-based diets overall healthy. However, if you look in the data, you see different scenarios that it depends on quality. That quality really drives the true association between the healthy plant-based diet with chronic disease. The question is, what makes the healthy plant-based diet healthy? Right? So if you think about this side, whole grains, fresh foods, fresh vegetables, so on and so forth, and this side, refined grains, sweets, desserts, fruit juices, potato, sugar-sweetened beverages, so on and so forth, then soon realize they are different. Healthy plant-based diet have much lower glycemic index, which is the index measures how fast your blood glucose rises after the consumption of a food. Much lower contents of added sugar. Much higher contents of fiber, much higher contents of polyphenols. We're going to talk about this in a minute. And have higher contents of healthy oils. But if you look at the unhealthy plant-based diet, they have a really bad, really poor profile of those nutrients. Let me use grains as an example to illustrate a few points. This is the anatomy of rice grain. So this is a bran, this is a germ, this is endosperm. Endosperm actually consists of just starch. If you keep the bran, keep the germ, keep the endosperm, you have a whole grain, which is brown rice. If you polish the bran portion and the germ portion, not the germ portion, you need endosperm primarily, you have white rice, which is a polished, refined grain. And such a processing makes a huge difference. If you compare brown rice with white rice, they have the same content of starch. However, brown rice also has loads, while the white rice essentially does not have those kind of zinc, magnesium, fiber, vitamins, and polyphenols. And in terms of association with chronic disease, this is a meta-analysis on white rice consumption with type 2 diabetes. And you see a positive association between the white rice consumption and type 2 diabetes. However, if you look at brown rice, you see an inverse association here in our cohort studies. And this study is on total whole grains. Of course, you can imagine in the US population, our participants primarily Caucasians, brown rice is not their number one choice for whole grains. When it comes to total whole grains, the consumption levels are much higher because they include also whole wheat, rye, oats, so on and so forth. And you still see a very strong inverse association with type 2 diabetes. I'm gonna now talk about a little bit about polyphenols, which another group of phytochemicals may account for the beneficial associations for healthy plant-based diets. So polyphenols are a group of phytochemicals primarily exist in fresh fruits, vegetables, in coffee, tea, and white wine. So this is a really huge group of phytochemicals. They share the similar structure of contain some phenol units. And largely, they have 4 large subgroups with phenolic acid. I think a lot of people are may be familiar with this polygenic acid, rich in coffee. Second large group is lignans. We're going to talk about those in a minute. And a third subgroup itself is a huge family and includes many subclasses of flavonoids. Still being a relatively small group, but this is less laboratory. I think people know that they are largely a lot of them from red wine consumption. So if you look at the intake of flavonoids, some of them, especially the flavonoids, and in particular the anthocyanins, they are from berries, associated with lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And this is a flavonoids primarily from green tea, from dark chocolate, which we observe some borderline significant association. And when they use, remember the second group is called lignans. When we use urinary biomarkers of lignan, in this case is prolactin. This marker is also strongly associated with lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So I think, in my presentation so far, hopefully I make case that healthy plant-based diets are healthy, and there are biological mechanisms that support why they are healthy. There's not some kind of association not supported by other evidence. And plant-based diets also associated with cardiometabolic risk profiles in healthy individuals. Let me present some data. So this is, again, another meta-analysis summarize evidence from clinical trials when investigators feed participants healthy participants with plant-based diet, in this case vegetarian diet, versus any other diet. What they found is very interesting that vegetarian diet help reduce HbA1c levels, help reduce fasting glucose levels, and have some beneficial effects on lowering the LDL cholesterol levels without changing much of HDL or triglycerides. This is the most interesting part is this. It is important to know that for most of those trials, they didn't implement any energy reduction. But however, when you compare the vegetarian diet with other diets, very significantly such a diet needs to be reduction of body weight, lower body mass index, and lower circumference. And vegetarian diet is not DASH diet, not necessary. It not change the blood pressure. So very critical to understand that the plant-based diets other parameters of important players in our health. I think one of the emerging important organ that we recent years realized is human gut microbiota. So this trial, according to my knowledge, is one of the largest trial that's testing the effects of plant-based diets on the human gut microbiota. What they did is they implement a diet very high carbohydrates, 75%, 15% energy from protein, which is still considered as low to medium consumption of protein and very low fat intake. The food items that construct this kind of diet is, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fruits, grains, legumes, and without animal products or added fat. So this is a legitimate healthy plant-based diet. And controls they just eat whatever they eat before the trial. No intervention. They enrolled 244 overweight obese individuals. Duration is 16 weeks. What they observed, interestingly, they used 16S RNA sequencing to interrogate the gut microbiome. What they found is that this is a control group. They have a small further reduction of this bacteria called Bacteroides frigidis, and this is the intervention group. They have a less reduction of this bacteria. And how interesting is this? The control group really have a small reduction of the Colibacterium proteinaceae, but the intervention group have increased the prevalence or abundance of this bacterium. So this bacterium, the Colibacterium proteinaceae, is also its change of its abundance associated very closely the change of body weight, and this is fat mass. And also a change of this bacteroides, frigidity is also very nicely correlated with change of body weight. Of course, this is where they could draw a conclusion whether those bacteria lead to the weight loss. I think it's just research still ongoing to understand their role in the weight change, but at least this is some hint that they may play a role in weight regulation as associated with healthy plant-based diet intake. This is another study. What they did is feed whole grains of fiber to human individuals. They also observed, sorry for the small stump here, that increased abundance of Colibacterium proteinaceae. This is a very beneficial bacteria. This is a very a slide that summarizes potential biological pathways why this bacterium is healthy. It's a filtrate to produce the processed fiber, release the short-chain fatty acid. It also has very clear documented effects on reducing the inflammation. All right. So far, I think that what the evidence I presented are either among largely healthy individuals, or eating a plant-based diet may be associated with lower risk of developing hyperdiabetic heart disease, or among healthy individuals, the plant-based diet may improve the cardiometabolic profiles. But I think it's 11% of the US population living with hyperdiabetes. I feel this group really critical group to consider. However, data relatively sparse for this group. I feel plant-based diets and any diets that contain carbohydrates, we need to really pay a lot of attention to for those group of type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes patients for them to manage their health. But so far, we still have some good data, not necessarily from healthy plant-based diet, but for other dietary pattern or dietary features that are related with healthy plant-based diet. So we know are they like low GI diet. Such a diet typically contain fruits, vegetables, and whole grains that have low GI values. We know they also very beneficial for reducing the HbA1c levels, reducing the glucose level. All of research done conducted among type 2 diabetes patients. It helps with the patients to manage their blood lipids. And again, very promising results that those low GI diet may achieve some weight loss. And can also help with CRP, but it's very interestingly, low GI diet in this group is not associated with any blood pressure control. We also know that fiber is very beneficial. In this study, again, what they did is look at the trial data. We found the fiber intake very significantly reduced the levels of HbA1c levels. And this is also a study that we did more than a decade ago, and we examined some dietary factors at that time we focused on whole grains, dietary fiber, and brand, whether they are associated with better disease outcomes, which is mortality among individuals living with type 2 diabetes. We found that very interestingly inverse association between brand intake. As I mentioned, brand is the top layer of whole grain. This is associated with lower chance of developing dying from any causes among type 2 diabetes patients. And we also can learn so much from other dietary patterns that they emphasize essentially same food item as a healthy plant-based diet emphasize. This is a primary finding from the Cardiometabolic trial. How many of you have heard of primary trial? Okay, great, fantastic. This is probably the largest dietary intervention trial in the world, conducted in Spain, where they enroll this amount, 7,000, I don't remember, individuals, and they randomize them into 3 groups. One group is a control diet. They give them low-fat, still calories include high-calorie, low-fat diet. The rest 2 groups, they give them Mediterranean diet. One group, on top of that, they give extra virgin olive oil. The other group gave nuts. What they found is that after 5 years follow-up, they found really striking reduction. You can see the line separated from the beginning of the control group versus the 2 groups. The 2 groups have a significantly reduced risk of developing cardiovascular disease. And they also did a subgroup analysis. They found those without diabetes, they have roughly the same reduction of developing cardiovascular disease. This is another trial conducted in Israel, direct trial. What they did is give a low-fat diet. This is the Mediterranean diet, and this is a low-carbohydrate diet. What they found is the Mediterranean diet and the low-carbohydrate diet achieve roughly the same weight change, and also they beautifully maintain the weight loss over time, which is not easy at all. However, this is very interesting. When they did the stratified analysis, stratified by diabetes status, they found actually the Mediterranean diet is particularly beneficial for type 2 diabetes patients. Look at this. This is fasting glucose. Very significant reduction over time. Even with some plateau of weight loss, the blood pressure keeps going down. And this is a fasting insulin. Same thing. This is a home IR, significantly reduced, especially among diabetes patients. The reason I present the data from Mediterranean diet because of course Mediterranean diet, the key component is extra virgin olive oil, right? But at the same time, the Mediterranean diet emphasizes nuts, emphasizes fresh fruits, vegetables, a little bit seafood, only occasional red meat consumption. Which if you think about whole grains, nuts, fruits, vegetables, healthy vegetable oils. I'm not talking about the tropical oils, coconut or palm oil, talking about other type of vegetable oils. Those 2 diets, they emphasize largely the same thing with some differences between the 2 diets. So they can really borrow this information from the Mediterranean diet to implement those for the healthy families. But now, guys, I want to present some data. I feel the data should be very interesting to the audience that we published last year. What they did is among type 2 diabetes patients, we want to understand low-carb diet, how they might relate to the mortality among this group of individuals. Because as we know, low-carb diet is really popular choice for people who whenever they want to lose weight or manage their condition, especially type 2 diabetes. So essentially, we want to understand whether different forms of low-carb diet may be differentially associated with the premature death among type 2 diabetes patients. Of course, the most apparent the low-carb diet is just focus on low-carb content, right? 30%, 40%, 50%, and 30% is low-carb, and 50% is not. Then they also construct this animal-based low-carb diet, because this is also popular. When people think about low-carb diet, they put a lot of meats. Look at that. This is animal-based low-carb. But it can be plant-based low-carb, right? People may challenge me, wait a minute, you cannot use plants to do a low-carb diet. But think about the ketogenic diet, right? 5% to 10% carbohydrate, how many people can do it? Nobody, right? But 30% in real-world study is more realistic. Because the US typical average carbohydrate consumption is around 60%, 50 to 60%. So in our study, you still have 30% of energy from carbohydrates, right? Very is wrong. So that gives us the room to construct this plant-based, healthy plant-based low-carb diet. But on top of this, for this diet, we also emphasize healthy oil, healthy fat, and healthy protein, largely plant protein. So this is a low quality, low carb diet. It's based on animal low carb diet, but de-emphasize whole grains. That is, people in this diet they eat meat and they do not eat whole grains. So ANAP is a lot of refined carbohydrates. And lastly, this is healthy low carb diet, and based on this, by the way, further de-emphasize the refined carbohydrates. So think about 30%. This is whole grain and low carb diet. And you see the association, it's very clear that the vegetable-based low carb diet, healthy vegetable-based low carb diet, and this healthy low carb diet, they are very strongly associated with lower risk of dying prematurely. However, look at the animal-based, especially this unhealthy, is actually associated with a little bit higher risk of dying maturely, premature, among type of diabetes patients. And unsurprisingly, when they model the increased adherence to those diets over time, you see if you over time increase the adherence to this healthy vegetable, plant-based low carb diet and this healthy low carb diet, the risk of dying is substantially lower. But the low calorie unhealthy one is actually the risk is getting higher over time. Now I can touch base regarding plant-based diet in the area of precision nutrition. I think that, I'm not a physician, I'm a nutrition epidemiologist. But as a physician, I think that many of you know that you prescribe GLP-1 drug to patients, for example, 100 persons. You wouldn't expect 100 persons patients have exactly the same reduction of body weight, HbA1c, right? That's the thing. So for that, exactly, same thing can be observed that you enroll 1,000 people into the clinical trial, give them, dash tag, observe their blood pressure changes. You will see a really wide variety. So I think in the era of precision nutrition, this is also very topic. Our question was, can one size fit all? Of course, the answer is probably no. Each one is different in terms of genetics, in terms of family history, in terms of other characteristics, and also in terms of existing conditions. Even if you have the same individual, exactly the same situation, you still observe some individual, right? We still doing research to understand the biological underpinning of that. But here, for this talk, I want to present some data related with human gut microbiota. So I want to use lignin, again, the second group of polyphenols as one example. Those are plant lignin. For types of plant lignins, we know those plant lignins are not bioactive at all. You cannot absorb them, and they do not play any function just by themselves. However, if you eat them, they are not absorbed, right? They go to the gut, they interact with human gut microbiota. And the human gut microbiota, through those complicated pathways, they can help you generate two metabolites. One is called endocrinology, the other called endolactin. As I mentioned, endolactin levels in urine in that study associated with lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So it's easy to think about if you have a good microbiota, right? You eat a lot of lignins, you're better off to have those metabolites. You eat a lot of lignins, you don't have microbiota, it's still good. Maybe you eat it because it's foods contain lignins, also contain fiber. But if you do not eat lignins, you do not have a microbiota, you wouldn't benefit from those kind of very active metabolites. And it's easily it's a very common observation. You give individuals the same type of ligaments, they have very different profiles in terms of the production of the two pathways, androlactone. For many individuals, you will see this. You will see the primary tablet is androlactone, However, you also see individuals with similar levels of androlactone and you even see individuals with much higher androlactone levels than androlactone levels. And this is another interesting study. This is an incubation study. It's an in vitro study. What they did is to incubate human feces sample with plant ligaments, and they measure in those feces samples how much metabolite can be produced by the fecal samples. So what they observed is that they have really strong between individual variability. Some of the fecal samples can produce 100% of the androlactone in this case, but you have roughly 30% of them can produce none. And when it comes to the androlactone, you observe more extreme variability. But I think people may say, okay, look, they told us this is a primary metabolite, this is a secondary metabolite, right? This is a, but you see most of the fecal sample couldn't produce this primary metabolite. But keep in mind, this is not an in vivo study. This is get a fecal sample to the incubation. Not all the bacteria can be incubated. I think that's the area you need to keep in mind. But nonetheless, this study shows the very basic basis why you have such a variability in producing the androlactone when you have the same intake of ligament. And similarly, when we examine the associations between healthy plant-based diets with some cardiometabolic risk markers, including here triglycerides, HbA1c, CRP, BMI, and a summarized combo kind of metabolic score. We also observe that some of the associations really depend on the microbiota. For example, in this analysis, we found that the healthy plant-based diet only associates better TG levels, better HbA1c levels, and better metabolic risk score among non-carriers of this Prevotella copper, this bacterium. And similarly, we only observe that lower levels of HbA1c among carriers of this Bacteroides uniformis, those bacteria. So this study demonstrates that the same pattern may have different associations with those risk markers. It really depends on whether you carry certain bacteria or not. But we are not the only person who observed this. The P culprit really can modulate association between a diet, a healthy diet, and risk markers. So this is an analysis conducted by my colleague Daniel Wang, data published at Nature Medicine, where they observed that among the non-carriers, only among the non-carriers, the Mediterranean diet is associated with predicted risk of developing coronary heart disease. Now I'm gonna switch my gear to talk about a different topic. Which is the last topic for my presentation, is that plant-based diets and environmental sustainability. So I think nowadays it's clear that the way witnessing dramatic changes of the consequences of global warming, climate change. In past couple summers, record high temperature. More floods, so on and so forth. So apparently, if this planet is sick, humans wouldn't do well on this planet. And it turns out to be, agriculture and food production can play a significant role, not only role, but a significant role in the human carbon footprint. So overall, I think it's estimated that the overall agriculture and food production can yield from 8 to almost 14 gigatons of carbon dioxide emission each year. However, each food group, they're not equal, right? If you look at this figure, demonstrates that the land, the beef, this is the dairy industry, those are the top 3 food categories that really account for the vast majority of the human carbon footprint when it comes to food production and agriculture. But most of the plant-based foods, especially tomato, potato, broccoli, lentils, tofu, so on and so forth, even fish, they have a much lower environmental impact than those top 3. So this is a Walter Willett, he spearheaded the Eat Lancet mission, which organized all the experts from around the globe to figure out what kind of diet you should eat. And chances are, if you eat a plant-based diet, you'll end up with the environmental system there. We still have some minutes, right? So I want to take the rest time to debunk a few myths regarding plant-based diets. How many of you believe that animal protein has a higher quality than plant-based protein because the animal acid product? Anyone? It's okay.
So where do you put dairy in this? There's no dairy on that last slide.
Oh, this let me see. Do I have dairy here? Look.
Can't read it.
Very small. The thing is that, I'll try to see some varieties of animal acid in this. Thinking about, everything grow up more on this planet. And they have, DNA, and we do not share the same DNA, but, the DNA is common genetic structure for plants and animals or humans. And essentially, if you say you eat animal foods, you have profile here. If you eat variety of plant-based food, you have the same amino acids, no more no less, right? So in terms of quality, it's the same. The animal protein versus the plant protein. They're saying, oh, this is a more complete amino acid source. That doesn't make sense. If you need plant protein, you have the same amino acids. I don't know whether they have a dietitian in the room or not. What's dietitian? I think previously someone did a survey at the conference with a lot of dietitians. Not many dietitians actually know that if you put a plant protein, you still can give your patients the same amino acids. Right? So this is a myth. I hope that we found debunked. The second is about the efficiency, because if you eat vegan, vegetarian all the time, are you okay? Are you fine? Are you doing well? The reason is because, apparently, you may know this vitamin B12 is a big concern because largely this vitamin is from animal products. Some plant-based foods can provide vitamin B12, but not but for a very strict vegan diet, EPA may be a concern, unless that person has a lot of alpha-linolenic acid consumption and has a very efficient conversion from ALA alpha-linolenic acids to EPA. Vegetarian diet will essentially have the same concern for vegetarians. But on the flip side, for meat eaters, right? People love to eat meat. They may be facing the concern of inadequate consumption of fiber, polyunsaturated fatty acid, alpha-linolenic acid, vitamin D, E, folate, calcium, magnesium. Those are nutrients rich in plant-based diet. But the silver lining is that vegans and vegetarians can really very carefully keep up different plant-based foods to make sure they minimize the risk of having vitamin B12, the calcium deficiency. But only a small fraction of individuals can truly practice vegan vegetarian diets. But largely, if you really construct your own plant-based diet, not necessarily exclude every single animal products. As I mentioned earlier in my talk, a little bit fish, some low-fat dairy, some egg products, poultry, chicken, and occasionally enjoy some steak like once a month. That's not planned. You can really have a balanced diet and avoid the deficiencies of those essential macronutrients and enjoy a very healthy life. And based on my presentation, I think the following conclusions can be made. One is plant-based eating patterns are overall healthy, although the diet quality still makes a huge difference for plant-based dietary patterns. And in addition to the low GI of healthy plant-based dietary patterns, beneficial phytochemicals are also critical constituents for such patterns. And healthy plant-based dietary patterns may also help diabetes patients to manage their health. And human gut microbiome may have really close interaction with plant-based diet by functioning as a key mediator, maybe a module. But precision nutrition research is actually needed to design individualized dietary devices for improving health among people with diabetes. And lastly, eating a healthy plant-based diet may also help maintain the health of our planet. I feel, if you carefully choose your diet and acquire some culinary skills, it can really make fantastic, also tasty plant-based diet. With that, I also want to thank my trainees, my collaborators, long-time managed grants. I want to thank our really dear and dedicated participants of the Vincent Study and of Cardiometabolic. And thank you so much for your attention. Any questions?
Yeah, first of all, that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much.